Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/TrueOffMyChest for you all. Also, GamerSupps is currently doing another gift with purchase event. For every tub you purchase, you unlock a new tier that lets you get some nice stuff, anywhere from a cup to a nice comfy sweater, as well as many other goodies that you'll have to just take a look for yourself. This is limited to while supplies last. And don't forget to use code OZ at checkout, because every purchase made with that code actually directly supports the channel. And without further ado, let's get to the video. Akiku-chan. Probably. My kickboxing classmate kept insulting me, so I taught her a lesson. I, 18 female, have a classmate in my kickboxing class who I keep getting paired with during training sessions. Most of the people there are guys, and they're far more experienced than me. There are only a few other girls, and they don't come often, so I usually end up with this particular girl. The problem? She's constantly making nasty comments towards me, both about me and my personal life. She even says things that are clearly lies about her daily life at school, probably to make herself look impressive or something. I've always hit lightly when sparring with her, since she's younger than me, but she gets aggressive sometimes and takes things too far. Last class, she really crossed the line. She started insulting me for always hitting softly, which I tried to brush off. But then she moved on to insulting my boyfriend and calling me unfaithful out of nowhere. She just kept going, throwing one insult after another for at least half an hour. A bit before my turn to hit back during practice, I stayed quiet and didn't respond to her comments, which seemed to make her uncomfortable. She tried talking a bit more, but since I wasn't replying, she eventually quieted down and started looking away. Then, my turn came. I didn't hit her at full force because she's younger than me, but I did hit her way harder than usual. Hard enough that she stumbled backward with every hit. Her tone shifted completely. She started awkwardly laughing and saying things like, "Ha, you've never hit so hard before," and "I've never seen you like this." I don't feel bad about it at all. If anything, I think she learned a lesson about limits, something her parents probably should have taught her a long time ago. Hopefully, this will stop her from acting like this towards me in the future. I was gonna say if she keeps this up, you should just take half a red line, but apparently those have been discontinued. And honestly, it's probably for a good reason. Not only do you risk potentially killing yourself with it, but you could probably honestly hurt someone pretty badly with one of those. They were pretty rough, not gonna lie. I'm also wondering if there's maybe a chance that as your sparring partner, she's just trying to egg you on so you train harder, kind of as like a girls stick with girls kind of thing. I might be wrong on that, and she could just be being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, but I like to hope maybe there's some positive intentions with it, makes things a little less bleak. Throwaway delay 2365. My parents installed a hidden camera in my house without me knowing. Recently, my parents visited my condo. For the past few months since I've bought it, they were visiting me regularly just to talk, and so I thought it was just another visit. And it was, until I saw something plugged into my living room. Me and my fiance, I'm 25, he's 22 male, clean our place once a week, so I didn't see it until now. And it was a nanny cam. I unplugged it and called my parents about it, and they said they didn't know anything about it. I believed them at first, but when my fiance told me that they were the only people that had been in our place in the past week, I asked them again, and they confessed. Their reasoning was honestly appalling, and to put it simply, they wanted to make sure I wasn't having sex. We got in a really big argument, and I've told them to not visit me for a while. But they told me they'd do it anyways, and that we'd have a talk in person about me not being compliant. I'm a grown-ass fucking woman. There is no valid reason for them to break my trust and put a secret camera in my house. I honestly don't feel comfortable seeing my parents for a long time. They were already pushing their boundaries, in my opinion, with a lot of the comments they say about my fiance. They've said on numerous occasions he was a slut, which is fucking gross. The only person that's convinced me to still let them see me these past few months is literally my fiance, and yet they still disrespect both him and his culture regularly. As far as I'm concerned, if he's not open to seeing them, I have no reason to see them for some time either. Update. 5 months later. Hi. So it's been a while since I made my first post. I didn't want to make an update on this. However, a lot of really fucked up shit has happened recently that's been stressing me out as of late. To start from the beginning, my parents put a camera in me, 25 female, and my fiance's, 22 males, condo without us knowing. They visited our condo frequently up until that point, so we didn't expect anything until we actually saw it a week later. When we confronted them about it, their reasoning was to basically make sure we weren't having sex, and after it all happened, I didn't feel comfortable at all seeing or talking to them again, or to maybe go no contact, especially considering all the weird shit they'd said about my fiance prior to this. However, my fiance convinced me to do otherwise, so we talked to my parents about it. They apologized, which the both of us thought sounded really fake, so we decided to set some boundaries with them. The most notable ones was that they weren't allowed in our condo for the next year. We changed the passcode for our smart lock, etc., and that they could only meet us in public spaces. We also asked my parents to admit they put a camera in our house if we ever wanted to take legal action against them. At the time, we didn't plan to ever do that, and for the past few months since the incident, we haven't seen my parents all that much. Then, around Thanksgiving, my fiance saw my parents. I was at work at the time, but my fiance was taking his cousin, 15 male, to a fundraising event for his youth church group. My fiance isn't really all that religious, but he does identify as a Taoist. On the other hand, his cousin is Christian, like my family. I'm pretty sure he's Catholic while my parents are Protestant, so there is a disconnect there. But regardless, they're both still Christian. My fiance is close to his cousin, and even though I don't really talk to him besides when I'll watch his volleyball games, he's a nice kid. So when my fiance called me to tell me that he was going to spend the day with him, I thought that was fine. But then I got a call from my fiance telling me that he saw my parents at the event. When he said that, I just told him to ignore them. To be honest, I don't think I reacted with enough urgency. I should have told him to literally stay the fuck away from them. Like, don't talk with them at all. Because for some reason, he decided to bring his cousin to go talk to them. I love my fiance, so please don't take this the wrong way, but when he told me he willingly brought himself over to see them, I wanted to call him stupid so bad. I don't want to get mad at him, but when he tried to explain his reasoning to me, it was all just, I don't know, fucking stupid. He said when he said hi to my parents, they asked him what he was doing here, and then he introduced his cousin. He said that they were actually really respectful to his cousin. It's a kid, so they should be, but I digress. And they talked for a while. His cousin told my fiance that he needed to go now, so my fiance tried to say bye. And when he did, he said my dad grabbed his arm. He said they let go right away, but my fiance asked him, what was he doing? They proceeded to get in an argument and my fiance started to film them. He got it on video. Literally as soon as he started filming, they began pushing away my fiance and his cousin. Literally a fucking kid. And they were pushing and hurting a kid for no fucking reason. After that, my fiance brought his cousin with him back home. So his cousin's event was ruined for him. For the past few weeks now, me and my fiance have been considering getting a restraining order against my parents, at the very least my dad. Amazingly, my fiance is still somewhat hesitant on going all the way through with it, but once he considers his cousin and the fact that he was affected by my parents too, he wants to get it. It's actually so fucking crazy the shit my parents have done to try and control my and my fiance's life. Them putting the camera in our house was just the thing that really opened my eyes to everything. And after this, I don't ever want to talk to them. My parents have been ignoring all of our calls, but I really wonder what reason they had to basically involve my fiance's cousin too. Just unbelievable, all around really. God, I hate saying this because it goes against everything I normally preach, but this is an instance to go no contact and get a restraining order. They've already violated your privacy on numerous occasions that you may not even be aware of, but installing a camera in your home to spy on you, to make sure you're not having sex, that is a massive, massive violation of your privacy, and that alone is already enough just to cut them off right at the knees right there. But that, on top of the public physical altercation that you got into with your parents, yeah, that's definitely grounds for trying to get a restraining order or some kind of civil protection order put in place. Definitely a good call earlier when you made them admit to putting a camera in your house, because that will certainly help for going through with that procedure. That's for damn sure. YeetySkeety. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband. So I'm still processing this, but I need to get it off my chest. Last night, I woke up and realized someone had butchered my hair. One side is a jagged pixie cut and the other side hangs awkwardly past my shoulder. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I sleepwalked or something, but no. I confronted my husband, Tim, because he's been acting weird lately, but he denied it. Then he drops this bombshell. My mom, she might have done it. Apparently, my mother-in-law, let's call her Diane, is convinced I've been cheating on Tim. Why? Because last week she saw me having lunch with a coworker. For the record, the coworker Kyle is gay, and we are literally talking about work. But Diane decided I must be having an affair. And instead of, talking to me or Tim, she broke into our house in the middle of the night with scissors and went full Edward Scissorhands on my hair. So this morning, I confronted her. At first, she played innocent, but when I pressed her, she literally said, well, maybe now you'll think twice before humiliating my son. I was fuming. I told her Kyle isn't even into women, but she just rolled her eyes and said something like, that's what they all say. I didn't even know how to respond to that level of delusion. Tim is horrified and apologetic, but I'm struggling here. This woman violated my personal space, destroyed my hair, and acted like she was in the right. I want to go no contact with her, but Tim is stuck between me and his mom, and I feel like this is going to be a huge blow-up in our marriage. Any advice? Because I'm honestly at a loss here. Too long didn't read. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thinks I'm cheating on my husband. I'm not, and now I don't know how to handle her or my marriage. Edit. My husband and I will be going to my mother-in-law tomorrow to talk to her about the situation again. Hopefully everyone will be calmed down by then and I won't have to threaten legal action. Thank you for all the support and suggestions. I will keep them in mind. Edit 2. To everyone saying this is fake. I don't know how to make you believe me, and honestly, I shouldn't have to. I'm sitting here, crying in my friend's guest room, completely broken, trying to make sense of how my life has fallen apart in the span of 24 hours. My husband, the person I thought I could trust the most, betrayed me in the most humiliating way possible. His mother violated me in my sleep, and now strangers are telling me my pain isn't real. I wish with everything in me that this wasn't real. I wish I wasn't sitting here trying to figure out how to rebuild my life, how to ever trust someone again, or how to even face the people around me after this. I've barely eaten, I've been shaking all day, and I feel like my world is crumbling beneath me. I turned to Reddit because I didn't know where else to go. I needed advice, a sense of support, something to help me hold myself together with these accusations. They're just making me feel even more alone. If you can't believe me, fine. But please don't make this harder than it already is. I wouldn't wish this pain on anyone. Update. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband. And now I found out my husband helped her. After the conversation we had with Diane this morning, I noticed my husband, Tim, was acting weird. At first, I thought it was just the guilt about standing up to his mom, but it felt like more than that. He's been avoiding eye contact and getting defensive when I bring up what happened. Earlier, I couldn't take it anymore, so I sat him down and told him he needed to be 100% honest with me about everything. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Apparently, Diane didn't come up with the haircut idea on her own. Tim admitted that he knew about it ahead of time and even helped her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said he truly thought I was cheating on him with Kyle, my gay coworker, because Diane had convinced him that there was too much evidence to ignore. When she suggested cutting my hair as some kind of weird punishment, he didn't stop her. In fact, he let her into our house that night while I was sleeping. Tim said he didn't want to confront me directly because he wasn't ready for the truth. So instead, he let his mother do this insane thing to me, thinking it would force me to come clean. Afterward, when I didn't admit to cheating, he started to realize he might have been wrong. But by then, he didn't know how to tell me what he'd done. He kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I was just confused." But honestly, I don't know how to process this. This wasn't just Diane acting like a lunatic, this was both of them. And my own husband betrayed me in one of the most humiliating ways possible. I packed a bag and I'm staying with a friend tonight while I figure out what to do. I don't know if I can ever trust him again after this. It's not just the haircut, it's the fact that he didn't even talk to me, believed the worst about me without any proof, and actively participated in something so cruel and violating. As for Diane, she's officially dead to me. I've already told Tim that I don't want her in my life ever again, regardless of what happens between us. And right now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to file a police report on both of them for what they did, but I'm scared of how messy it'll get. Another part of me just wants to cut ties and move on, but that feels like letting them off too easy. I don't know what my next step is, but I do know this. I deserve better than this. Thank you to everyone who has supported me through this. Your comments and advice have meant the world, and I'm truly grateful for the kindness and understanding. It's helping me find the strength to figure out what comes next. Update 2. I think I'm going to divorce him and I may file a police report. After everything that's happened, I've been thinking a lot about my next steps, and I've come to a heartbreaking but necessary conclusion. I don't think there's any coming back from this. I trusted Tim with my heart, my safety, my life, and he betrayed me in ways I never thought possible. I can't imagine a future where I feel safe with him, where I can trust him, or where I don't carry the weight of this violation every day. I'm strongly considering filing for divorce. The thought of staying with him feels unbearable, but at the same time, I can't stop worrying about the messiness of it all. I just want to cut ties completely, to walk away and rebuild my life without him or his mother dragging me down further. As for filing a police report, I'm leaning toward it, but I'm scared of what it might bring. I know what they did was a crime. My own husband let his mother into our home to assault me in my sleep. But the thought of dealing with legal battles or even just having to relive this again and again in statements, it's exhausting. Part of me wants to hold them accountable, but another part just wants to run away and never look back. Right now, I'm taking it one step at a time. I've been talking to friends, trying to find some clarity in all this chaos. It's terrifying and painful. But I know one thing for sure. I deserve so much better than this. Thank you to everyone who has shown me kindness and support. It means the world to me right now. Update 3. I've contacted a lawyer and decided to press charges. Hi everyone, I just wanted to give an update after everything that's happened. After spending the last couple of days trying to process everything, I finally made some concrete decisions. First, I contacted a divorce lawyer, explained the entire situation including what my husband admitted to and how his mother violated my trust and personal safety. The lawyer was very supportive and walked me through the process of filing for divorce. While it feels daunting, I know this is the best decision for me. I can't see a future where I could ever trust my husband again after what he allowed to happen. Second, I decided to press charges against my mother-in-law. I filed a police report for assault, and I've documented everything. Photos of my hair, text messages, and the timeline of events. While I'm still nervous about how messy this could get, I refuse to let her get away with what she did. What she did wasn't just humiliating, it was an act of violence, and she needs to be held accountable for it. As for my husband, I have made it clear that I'm done. I've moved out and will not be returning. I've blocked his mother entirely and am limiting my communication with him to legal matters only. I'm still scared, hurt, and figuring things out, but I feel a little bit more empowered now that I've taken these steps. Thank you to everyone who has offered me advice, support, and encouragement. It's helped me more than you know. This is still far from over, but I'm determined to move forward and build a better future for myself. I'll keep you updated as things progress. As difficult as this most certainly is for OP, I do think they're making the right decision. A simple, clarifying question could have saved so much of this, but instead the mother-in-law went straight for retribution over something that a clarifying question would have just enlightened, fixed, and hell, even if she was cheating, it would have solved the entire problem by confronting her with the fact of, hey, I saw you with a guy at a restaurant and, I want answers. Instead, the mother-in-law got her son wound up to the point where he didn't even want answers. They both made assumptions that were far from being correct and decided to commit a crime over it. Let this be a lesson to everyone, I suppose, to make sure you have your ducks in a row before you act, because sometimes things can be a bit different than you might be assuming. One Lebensart. CoWorker got angry at me for pointing out our coworker's age. This is the funniest shit ever. I have a male coworker who's probably around 29 to 30 years old, who's been working at our resto bar for years. I've only been here for almost 3 months, and I've seen him act like an absolute weirdo around our peers. This isn't an issue to me since all of them are really close to one another, and if they're okay with perverted jokes, telling each other that they'll have sex or touch each other's privates, that's fine. Until this waitress, who isn't turning 18 for a few months, got accepted. She was extremely extroverted and got along with everyone, including me, pretty quickly. She's conventionally pretty too, so she's been a target of jokes surrounding dating coworkers. She's 17, and this weirdo of a dude keeps blabbering about how he'll make her mine someday. Or if he did things for her, will she finally be his boyfriend? I think he meant, will she finally be his girlfriend? But anyways, I'd also see him hitting on her inside work premises. Every time he would say something like that around me, I'd yell and point his age out in kind of a sarcastic way. The statements will differ from, oh, you want to date a 17-year-old so bad? To, bro wants to date a minor, someone call 911 quick. He'll laugh it off and point out that I'm jealous because someone else is hitting on my crush. I have a girlfriend, by the way, Lamau. Tonight, girl said she doesn't eat pork, and Weirdo stated how he'll feed her delicious home-cooked vegetable meals just for her if she ever married him. I laughed and replied with, "You want to marry a 17-year-old? My other coworkers laughed at my sentiment, but he probably had enough of my comments. He stopped talking to me for 3 days now, and when I try to engage conversation about work matters, he yells and becomes dismissive. I swear it's so funny to see him act like he's a victim. I heard him saying something to our other coworkers about me, but I couldn't care less. Maybe if he stopped hitting on underage girls." I know I've talked about this possibly on the channel or maybe even on streams, but one of the managers that I had when I was working in food service would pretty much target the 17-year-old girls and get really close with them, and then when they turned 18, he would strike. This dude had a wife and kids, by the way. Like, I remember dealing with seeing him and this other coworker who had just turned 18 being really handsy in the office, like uncomfortably so while she was supposed to be working, so I try to forget that, go back to the kitchen, start doing my job, and his fucking wife walks into the back door, and it's just like, oh god, what's about to happen? Unfortunately, he continued to get away with it for quite a while cheating on his wife with the younger coworkers, but eventually he did get caught, and on a kind of sad note, from what I understand, she actually dropped out of college to be with him. That was like probably 5 years ago, so I have no idea what's going on right there, but still, that is just, ugh. I do hope she's doing better in life, even if she was just a really horrible person to work with. Like, this was someone who would watch Netflix on their phone in the office and then offload their entire workload onto me and then get mad at me when I couldn't accomplish my work, the person who wasn't on shift, and their work, all in one setting. So that was a lot of fun. Frequent Potato 5981. My coworker faked her entire pregnancy. So this took place in 2017 when I was 23 and working as a hostess at a restaurant, and remains one of my craziest work stories. A new girl, we'll call her Jamie, 20 female, had been hired as a new hostess, and 2 weeks into her working there, she started to tell everyone that she just found out she was pregnant. We all congratulated her on her exciting news, but quickly things started to take a turn. She started asking others for rides to and from work every day, claiming she had no money for Ubers, but would then leave on her break and go shopping at Ulta next door. Her work ethic sucked ass, and she would stand at the back corner of the dining area on her phone, and when I would radio her while watching her from across the restaurant to please start bussing the tables as she was supposed to be doing, she'd look over to me, then go right back to her phone. We had a Facebook group page for posting shifts, and she kept changing her name on Facebook to ones that weren't even variations of her name, but were completely different ones, which was odd. But the biggest thing was that her comments about her pregnancy were not adding up. She would pull a bunch of no-call, no-shows or trying to get out of her evening shifts, claiming that she couldn't work because she had a baby appointment at 7:30 p.m., and saying the same excuse with a similar time at least once or twice a week. One day, when a coworker asked her when her due date was, another coworker had overheard the conversation and said that he had been told a different due date earlier that same day when he had asked. And after several months of this, it was obvious that she wasn't showing at all either, when she should have been. At this point, people had sussed out that she was lying and started to ask her more direct questions. When asked about why she wasn't showing, she said that her baby doctor said her pregnancy wasn't making her gain any weight, and that by the time that she had the baby, she'd have none to lose. She started showing people ultrasound photos and had texted one to my friend we worked with, and when we reverse Google searched it, there it was. After a night where she asked someone to cover for her shift with a baby appointment, she was asked the next day at work how her night had gone, and she talked about how she hung out with a friend and went out for dinner. At one point, one of my coworkers had even told her, right to her face, that he knew she was lying about being pregnant, and her response back was, "I bet you have a small dick." And all this bullshit continued on and on for her full 9 months of pregnancy. The time came for when she was supposed to be having her baby, still zero bump, when she said she went to a baby appointment and that her doctor told her the baby was premature, so that they were pushing back the due date another month. Like, girl, what? That's not what a premature baby is. Clearly, she did not do her research before orchestrating this whole fake pregnancy. This whole time, all of us were wondering why she hadn't been fired yet with all her not showing up and horrible work ethic, aside from her lying. But thankfully, That day finally arrived when she had not showed up for her next shift and was fired. Thank God. We were all so happy and had a celebratory hangout to get drinks after work. LOL. A couple of weeks later after her firing, one of my coworkers posted a news article in our work Facebook group. The article was dated from the year before Jamie had started working at the restaurant and was about how she, along with another person, had both previously worked at a store in the mall and they had gotten caught stealing $35,000 worth of merchandise and had been charged with theft. And I have no doubt that she probably had been stealing from the restaurant as well, and wouldn't come as a surprise. A couple of months later, out of the blue, Jamie had messaged my friend asking for a ride somewhere, to which obviously my friend said no, and then just to see what Jamie would say, she asked how her baby was. And of course, Jamie responded saying that her baby was a stillborn. She was still trying to keep up the charade and in a fucked up way. She is just that low, and that was the last contact we ever had with her. She is the most unhinged coworker I've ever had, and I hope I never have to deal with anyone like her again. I really don't want to focus on the fucked up part of the lie there, so we're gonna look past that for this post just because I don't have the mental energy to examine that. If you ever get the feeling that someone might be spoon-feeding you bullshit, honestly it never hurts to have someone go and double-check and maybe a day or two later, ask the same question and see if the answer changes. Opie's mentioned in the post when Jamie couldn't keep their story straight and forgot they had an appointment and stated that outright they just hung out with friends that night. Reminds me of a time that we were dealing with a really frustrating line cook once upon a time, like 7 years ago at this point, who would always use this excuse that, oh, my mom's dying of cancer, I need to go visit her, and of course no one's gonna say no to that. But the problem is keep in mind, some of your coworkers might follow you on Instagram, or on Twitter, or on, whatever, Snapchat, that's the one. Sorry, I don't use a lot of those social medias, I tend to stick to more boring ones. But anyways, on Snapchat, he was posting that he was at the Knitting Factory, which is basically just it's a venue in Boise for concerts, pretty much in Idaho. And he was actively telling everyone this sob story about how rough it was watching his mother, just lose herself to the cancer. And then on his Snapchat, he's just fucking partying with people. And it's like, dude, I took an L and didn't study for a test tonight because I had to cover your shift so you could go visit your dying mother. Then I find out that you're fucking partying? Nice, man. That's so sick. Howdy everyone and welcome to the outro. There's currently a free gift with purchase going on with GamerSupps, where if you buy a tub, you can get a shaker, a shirt, looks like a stocking or a mouse pad, a jug, or even a nice comfy sweater, as well as many other goodies that you'll have to just take a look for yourself. This is limited to while supplies last. And I will say their merch is definitely high quality. So this is a good way to get your hands on some and sample it before actually committing to buying some that's not with a free gift with purchase. Remember to use code OZ at checkout, and every purchase that you make through GamerSupps using my code actually directly supports the channel. It's a great way to help keep my projects going, and keep in mind, once we hit a certain threshold, I might be able to get my hands on my own flavor. And God knows I'm going to make them squirm. They don't believe I can, but have some faith in me. I know I will.